Hello, fourth graders, and hey, fifth graders too, if you want to just kind of brush up on this stuff. Listen, today we're going to continue. We've been talking about degrees, 360 degrees in a circle. Things can go clockwise, counterclockwise. By the way, we've got a mid-chapter review coming up probably tomorrow. But today, what we're going to talk about is measuring and drawing angles. And the tool that we use to do that is a protractor. See the protractor here? See if I can put it against something where you can really see it. All right, there you go. You see the numbers? And if you notice the numbers as they go around the protractor, there's two numbers. There's a small number and a big number. Now there's a 0, and right at the top of this thing is 90. And if you continue to go around this protractor, what you'll see is they kind of mirror each other. 0 on the right side is equal to 180, and 0 on the left side is also equal to 180. But as you move through the different numbers, you can see that when you go from 0 to 10 degrees, it goes from 180 to 170. And as you move around a protractor, you see that relationship of the numbers. And why is that? Why do they have two sets of numbers? Because angles can be obtuse or acute. And sometimes we need to know this angle, and sometimes we need to know the outer angle. So you have an inner angle and an outer angle, and you use a protractor to measure that. So let's practice a little bit. How do you use a protractor? Well, the first thing you need to know is you look at the protractor that I've drawn here. And if I start and go counterclockwise, I start at 0, and then it goes up by 10 degrees, all the way around until it gets to 180, because 180 is half of a circle, and a circle is 360 degrees, thus the 180, half the circle. Now, if I wanted to go clockwise with my measurement, then I'd have 0, 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 70. That's why there's two sets of numbers on the protractor. So let's see what kind of problems they have for us here. And how do you use the protractor to determine it? Well, let's draw an angle. Just arbitrarily draw an angle. Now, to use the protractor, the very center of the base of the protractor, which is in line with the 0, you line the center point at the vertex of the angle. Now, an angle is usually labeled A, B, C. So if I want to measure the angle AC, B is my vertex point, and that's where I'm going to set the center of my protractor. So you take your protractor, and hopefully you've got one at home. If not, I don't know what to tell you. But if I look at my protractor, there's a center spot, and I see where the 0 where I have to line that up. So I put this right on the center spot, right on the vertex or point B of this angle. I make sure I'm on a straight line with the straight line that goes through the 0. And then I come up the measurement of the protractor, and it goes from 0 to 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50. And it's right between 50 and 60. It's right in the middle, and you see the measurement marks on there. That's how you can be pretty accurate, because there are 10 degrees between each one of these measurements, so there are 10 hash marks. Here, it's be 50 plus 5 more. My angle would be 55 degrees. And I can see that clearly on my protractor. I've lined up the center point, I've lined up the 0 with the bottom of the angle, and then I've just come up the protractor and I look where that line passes through the numbers. Now, what if I want to know this angle? Well, we know that this angle is 55, right? We just measured it, 55 degrees. Now, we know that that's 180, right? So you take the 180, subtract 55, and it's 125. That's the difference. So this angle is 125 degrees. Why? Because the two of them added together has to equal 180. Really simple. If I'd have measured the outside angle first and came up with 125 degrees, and I would be able to do that with a protractor by simply putting the protractor right on the vertex, lining it straight up with the 0, and then coming in the opposite direction, in the clockwise direction, and I see that it crosses right in between the 120 and the 130, the bigger numbers, which is 125. So there you have it. So now I know that's 125. I can subtract that from 180, and I can discover the missing angle on the inside just by doing math. 55 degrees. Now, how cool is that? You just got to remember that half a circle is 180 degrees, which is what is measured on the protractor. Now, that's how you determine what the angle is. What if I said to you, I want you to draw an angle that is 45 degrees. Now, all you have is your protractor, and you got no idea what that angle looks like. So what you got to do, you got to start with a point, because that's going to be the vertex of your angle. And then you draw a straight line. That's going to be the base of the angle. Now you line up the center of your protractor on the dot. Line up your line with the straight line going to 0. Read up the inside scale to right in between 40 and 50. That would be 45. Then take your ruler and connect the two dots. And now you have created a 45-degree angle. And you can do that with any angle. You can pick any number between 0 and 180. Let's just say I want to create an angle that is 110 degrees. Okay, so it's the same story. You're going to draw a line. Make sure you got a base to your angle. This is going to be the vertex where your angle is going to meet. You're going to put your protractor center dot right on the vertex, and then we're going to read around the scale to 110 degrees. So we go, there's 90, there's 100, there's 110, right there. Now, we know that any angle that is greater than 90 is obtuse. And any angle that is less than 90 is acute. Now, 110 degrees, is that more or less than 90? It's more. So we know that the angle is going to be an obtuse angle. So when we connect our dots, remember this was 110 degrees. When we connect our dots, our angle is going to look like that. And is that not an obtuse angle? Why, yes it is. Because if it was 90 degrees, it would have that angle. So it's that much greater than 90 degrees. So that's 110 degrees. And you can go all the way to 180 degrees, which would be a straight angle. 179 degrees would be 1 degree in that direction. And you can go either way on this protractor. Now, I know if this angle here is 110 degrees, then I know that the missing angle, this angle here, when it gets back to flat, has got to be how many degrees? It's got to be 70 degrees, because altogether it always has to equal 180. So if you know one angle, mathematically, you can determine what the other angle is. All right, let's see if there's anything else interesting about this chapter that we need to talk about. Some real nice pictures of protractors and how they work in this chapter. Ooh, think smarter. Problem number 16. Let's just look at that. Choose the word and angle measurement to complete a true statement about angle QRS. And angle QRS looks like this. And we'll label that according to the book Q, R, and S. Now it's telling us choose the word and the angle measure to complete a true statement about it. So Angle QRS is either an acute, obtuse, or right angle, and it has a measurement of either 45, 115, and 135. Now you should be able to look at this angle right away and define what type of angle it is. It's greater than 90 degrees, so it's got to be an obtuse angle. So that answers the first question. But the next question is it 45, 115, or 135 degrees? Well, you know that if it's obtuse, it's greater than 90, so you can discard the 45. You know it's got to be greater than 90. Now you have two numbers, 115 and 135. How do we know which one it is? We take our protractor, put it on point R, line up the zero with our, remember this is because of the arrow on that, that's a ray. But on our RQ line, we're going to line that up, and then we're going to look at the protractor to see what number that line passes through. And guess what? 135. So our answer is an obtuse angle with a measurement of 135 degrees. Now, that's all there is to it. You've got homework on 617 and 618, and I don't see anything there that I don't think you can easily do, my fourth graders. So, that's our lesson for today. 11.3 is the lesson. 11.3. It starts on page 613. We'll catch up with you again tomorrow, where we will begin the mid-chapter review, so we can look at what we've learned so far in Unit 11, and then we'll move on. What's the next thing we're going to learn? See, this is so much fun. I can't hardly stand it. Next thing we're going to learn is join and separate angles. Okay, so we're going to learn how you can determine the measure of an angle when it's separated into its parts. So take a look at that if you're curious. We'll get into that this week. But tomorrow we'll do a review. Meanwhile, you guys take care, stay out of trouble, stay safe, and be kind.